Hello and welcome back everyone, and I am excited to be talking about The Challenge Season 41, Vets and New Threats, Episode 0. That's right, this season has begun, technically. What was on this past Wednesday on July 23rd was a launch special, but it didn't feel like a normal launch special because they actually had the challengers do something and strategize, and there was a kiss from the interrogation and interviews to the task of them scaling up this mountain. I just thought that this was a very unique way of starting the season. As previously mentioned, we're just thrown into the action, seeing all 32 competitors trying to scale up this mountain, touch a rock, and come all the way back down, and then move directly into the challenge house. This episode flashes back and forth where we go from everybody climbing the mountain to then going into the interview/interrogation rooms, where TJ sits down with each rookie one at a time to ask them questions, where the veterans are sitting behind a one-way mirror, getting to hear and listen in on the interviews. And then at a certain point, when the interviews are wrapping up, you'll have a challenger stand up and the light will shine on them, revealing them, and most of the time, the competitors will ask, "Why are you here?" Unless you're bananas, getting to stand up and ask D if she has a boyfriend, and if she is looking for one. Speaking of the interviews, I actually want to hold here and get through the interviews. The first person shown in this segment is Cedric, the 22-year-old from Big Brother 26. He was an intelligence analyst in the Marines, and he calls TJ a legend, kind of showing that maybe Cedric knows a little bit more of the challenge than some of the rookies in the past, and he seems like a very charming and genuine guy. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what Cedric can do on this season. Next person up is Jeremy, who is also a former U.S. Marine. We also find out that he does ultra marathons and he does obstacle races. He absolutely beasts this climb and descend from this mountain. I don't even think he breaks a sweat. He doesn't huff and puff. And yeah, Jeremy is looking very, very strong to start off this season. Sydney is also somebody that I felt I underestimated. I didn't know how much of an athletic background that she had, but she looks extremely capable of being able to do anything and everything the challenge throws at her. She is very confident in her ability. She had some good one-liners, but her overconfidence almost comes off as a little bit of arrogant. But hey, if you have the ability, is it arrogant? We'll have to wait and see. In the interviews with TJ, I was actually very impressed with America, as she stated she watched over 30 seasons of the challenge once she got the call, which I think is incredible. Why not get a full scope of what you're coming into, you know? Izzy is a personal trainer. Blue was very fun and personable. Some of the people that kind of got really quick blips in this moment was Jake, Ben, Lekka, Will, who is also former military, Leonardo, who had stated that he doesn't take things very seriously, as he was laughing when the challenge vet asked, "Why are you here?" Justin, Gabe, who is also former military, and Adrian, who went through a huge physical transformation, losing over 100 pounds. Now turning our focus over to the climb, I want to talk about the people as they are touching the rock and heading back down. Some noteworthy performances, as mentioned earlier, Jeremy is first pretty much the entire time. He gets up the mountain very quickly, touches the rock, and is the first one down the mountain. Izzy absolutely demolishing this run, getting up and down the mountain in second place. Jake was behind them in third place, with Sydney in fourth. Aviv was the first vet up to touch the rock and head back down. She was in fifth place. Cedric sixth, Olivia in seventh, and Bananas was the first vet man to touch the rock in 8th place. I don't feel it's necessary to talk about who touched the rock when and started heading back down, but I do want to mention who is towards the bottom. I don't think it would be shocking to a lot of the audience seeing that Anissa would be coming in last place. Well, technically she was last place for the veteran women, but coming in last place overall was shockingly CT. Now, it sounds like everybody knows what this task was all about, and it was getting an order of how everybody would be picking their partners. So I'm sure there was a lot of strategies in everybody's head that maybe some of the veterans weren't wanting to go super hardcore. I'm sure there was thought process of, I want to get up the mountain, I want to finish in a decent spot, but I would rather not get injured. There could be people strategically throwing it or not trying their hardest as to not put a target on their backs. Another person's performance that I found very surprising is Nany. She actually touches the rock in 28th place, but then she just stops. She sits down and then tells a lot of people that she doesn't think that she can move forward, that she would be able to finish it and actually get down the mountain. It isn't until Anissa and CT get up there, touch the rock, and they all come down as a trio. One critique that I have about this task, or about the editing I should say, we only got to see a handful of people and where they placed as they walked into the challenge house. I wish we could have seen like a montage of everybody touching the rock and heading back down, and I would have rather have seen everybody coming into the challenge house and where they placed, because these results are going to determine the order in which everybody was going to pick their partners. I would have rather have known where everybody was going to pick. Olivia in 7th, Bananas and Turbo skip into the house hand in hand at 8th and 9th place. And that's where we turn our attention over to the house, and before you know it, everybody's in the house talking, chatting it up, trying to get to know everybody. Now, I'm not going to get through every single conversation that was happening in the house, but I did write down some key moments and key conversations. Like in the beginning, once Olivia finished, she got the bedroom. It looks like Izzy and her are going to be roommates, and Izzy comes up to Olivia and says that she wants to choose Theo. 1, because she knows Theo is strong, but 2, he's coming in with a definitive number 1 in Olivia. And Izzy knows that there are power in numbers. So Izzy's like, I want to jump on that boat. You're getting a 2-for-1 deal and kind of getting into an alliance already. It sounds like coming into the game that Izzy and Jake have a very close friendship with one another. And we even hear from Izzy that she is hoping that Jake chooses Olivia so that they can be a power square, a power foursome. But as the night progresses and Izzy starts talking to Jake, it sounds like there could be a UK alliance starting to form between Izzy, Jake, Theo, Rogan, and Adrian. Izzy even mentions Taylor could be a part of this alliance, and then with Theo comes Olivia. If those are all correct numbers and Izzy and Jake are thinking we can count on all of these people, that is an 8-person alliance. That is really solid. That is a quarter of the house already. Speaking of this UK alliance, helmed by Izzy, she also starts talking with Rogan. There's a lot of flirtation, and they even share a kiss in the kitchen. And then Ashley comes in to break up the party and kind of question what's going on between Rogan and Izzy. They try to play it off, but Rogan is hoping that that kiss sealed them being partners, which we will talk about in the selection process towards the end of this video. But I'm glad, spoiler alert, that they didn't become partners. Somebody that I was very much looking forward to hearing from was Nany, as this is the first season that she is doing since breaking up with Casey. And to surprise, in the confessional, she said that there was no tea, that her and Casey are in a good space with one another and separately and individually. Something that was even more surprising with Nany is that she does not want to be associated with Johnny Bananas. On night 1, when everybody is talking, hanging out, Johnny wants all of the guys to get in the pool, which is an interesting choice, that he just wants all the guys in the pool and even says no girls allowed in the pool. Whatever floats your banana boat there, Johnny. He starts yelling up at Nany to throw drinks into the pool, and so that nobody has to get out of the pool to get a drink if they are thirsty, and Nany just ignores Bananas. She says that being aligned with Johnny Bananas has never worked out for her in the past. And so she is happily giving the Bananas #1 seat and #1 ally in the game over to Aviv, and she wants to be on her own. She wants to do her own thing away from Bananas, which, I don't know, I thought was very surprising. Without any real context, I just feel like maybe there's something else to the Bananas Nany situation. We do hear from Sydney talking to Naya about how she's looking at either Leroy or Bananas to want to be partnered up with. But Bananas seems very closed off on wanting to be partnered with anyone else except for D. the survivor winner. Dee was very fiery in her interview with TJ, but Dee knows that she's coming in with a pretty big target on her back to start the game. One, she's a survivor player, but not only that, she is a survivor winner, a recent survivor winner. So I think she was trying to looking for someone with good social capital, while Dee can then maybe slide under the radar a little bit as they go with the numbers, instead of maybe being partnered up with somebody with a big personality, a big reputation, a lot of championships, where all eyes are on her as well as him, but Banana seems so entranced, so focused of just wanting Dee and Dee alone. We get a little bit of roommate talk here, where we have Anissa, Aviv, Blue, and Naya, all roommates with one another. I listened to the Bananas podcast where he was interviewing Derek and Mark, where he mentioned that he was in the room with Cedric, Gabe, and Will. It looks like CT and Turbo will be rooming with one another, because at one point, CT was saying that Turbo was a pick-me kind of player, and Turbo's like, yes, 100%. I would pick you. I would pick you if I... And it was just so funny that CT tried to make this joke and then tried to explain what a pick-me is to Turbo, and Turbo had no clue. You know, it was kind of going over his head, and he just kept on saying, like, if I could pick you, I would pick you. But I found this moment kind of wholesome and really funny. One thing that I found was very surprising is that CT Pro Tips are back, and I'm so happy about that. And we see that CT Pro Tip where everybody is lined up meeting TJ for the first challenge. But before we can get to the first challenge of the season, we have to get to the selection process, where they will go and pick somebody to be partnered up with. Now, I will go over all the pairs and then pick out a few to highlight afterwards. So first up is Jeremy, and he chooses Aviv, mentioning that she was the best veteran and has impeccable puzzle prowess. Alongside her connections with Johnny Bananas, Jeremy thought that it was a no-brainer to pick Aviv. We have Izzy and Theo, which I am very happy that Izzy chose Theo, because I think that is the smarter choice. Rogan seemed kind of hurt by this decision, but truly, Izzy is in a really good situation if she has a UK alliance, some friends. Now she is paired up with Theo, who has Olivia, and she also has Rogan in a different pair, which is now another pair that will not say her name. So I thought it was a better decision strategically for Izzy to choose Theo. Cedric is up next, and he chooses Olivia. Sydney chooses Leroy, which is surprising to Leroy, who says that he finished nearly last place. Sydney mentions that Leroy has some great social capital. She's putting more emphasis on Leroy's friendships and alliance members. Jake chooses Cara, which I think is a really solid pair. Michaela picks Will, which I thought was very interesting. Bananas is up, and of course he chooses Dee. Now Dee has no other option but to trust and work with Johnny Bananas. Adrian then chooses Rogan. Turbo chooses America, which, can I just say, I really like Turbo's explanation of choosing America, saying that MTV made Turbo's wishes came true to come to America and to compete on an American TV show. So he wants to make America's wish come true by being partnered up with her and get her to become a challenge champion, which I thought was really, really nice. Ashley was really funny as she chose Gabe but called him Will, which everybody laughed about that, but Ashley said she was nervous. Derek chose Lekka, which, look out. Both Derek and Lekka look so incredibly strong as a pair that I feel like everybody needs to look out for Derek and Lekka as a partnership. Nany chose Ben, which I thought was very interesting. He's a boxer commentator. Derek Chavez chose Blue. Tay chose CT, who was the last veteran male to be picked. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. CT is the last one up the mountain and the last one down the mountain, and he is also the last male veteran to be chosen. That is wild, in my opinion, as we have Leo up and he chooses Anissa, and then Naya and Justin are left over and they will be paired up with one another. The 6 pairs I feel like we need to keep our eyes on. Of course, Jeremy and Aviv did the best in the first mountain task, and now being paired up together, I feel like people need to watch out for them. Izzy and Theo seem like they could be a really, really strong pair. Cedric and Olivia. Olivia surprised me how well she did going up and down that mountain. Getting 7th place, really, really strong. Cedric finishing 3rd overall, I thought proved that he is going to be someone to look out for. So Cedric and Olivia, of course, the top 3 pairs I feel like we need to keep our eyes on. Jake and Cara seem to be a really strong duo. Bananas and D because seem to be strong on paper, but if they can't trust each other or their flirtation gets too much in their way and clouds judgment in any sense, then I think this team could implode. As mentioned earlier, Derek and Lekka, I think, make a very physically strong duo. And I will also say Turbo and America, I think, look out for them and how they will be able to work together. Now, essentially, this is where the episode cuts off, right before going into the daily challenge, which of course it would, because episode 1 wants to start off with everybody starting the first daily challenge right off the rip. I loved this episode 0. I thought this episode 0 had so much going for it. First of all, the rookies are already shining in my eyes. I love the interrogation and the interview scenes. I thought that having this task of going up this mountain that has a 5,400 elevation and then having to come back down, and that's how 1, you get to the challenge house, and 2, get the order of how you're gonna pick your partners was chef's kiss. I loved seeing everybody strategize, getting to mingle, getting a little bit to know about the rookies as well as the veterans. And then on top of that, getting a little smooch in episode 0, where it kind of makes me feel hopeful that if we got all of this in episode 0 and everything starts to intensify throughout the season, that maybe we will see more and more throughout the season to where it'll feel a little bit more fun, a little bit more vibrant, as well as people getting paranoid, strategy having to be employed, as well as these rookies look so good. I mean, if you would have told me that in the beginning challenge that the top 4 players to finish would be rookies, are you kidding me? But here we are. And again, there could have been strategy on the veteran side being like, I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to show off my athleticism or how much I've trained in the background or whatever. There could be a lot of strategy going on. But at the end of the day, the results are results, and the rookies seem capable. They seem physical. They seem confident. They seem like they're coming in with a game plan that they can strategize away from the veterans, as well as at least some players actually have an idea of what game show they are on. They are on the challenge, and I am looking forward to seeing how this season goes on. I think that this episode 0 was a huge positive, but that is my opinion. What do you think about this episode? Let me know down in the comments section below. What'd you think about the task of having them run up this mountain and run to the challenge house? What'd you think about all the happenings and conversations in the challenge house between everyone? And which pair do you think is going to make a dominant duo? Or you can pick a handful of dominant duos, or maybe on the opposite trend. What person do you think made the wrong decision on who they should be partnered up with? Let me know everything down in the comment section below of what you thought about this episode and this launch special. And I want to give a special shout out thank you to everyone who supports me over at patreon.com/angelcakevids. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who's watching this video up to this point. I'll be back really soon with more Challenge 41 content, more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.